Right, we are back from the co-op and back at home in the condo. Outside, since it is Earth Day, and why not be outside then? To get to hear some nice birdies. We're going to be discussing really quickly reducing waste and reusing, because the recycling end of things is really the last resort. With refilling or reusing containers, like you saw at the co-op, it was challenging footage, oh my goodness. But the point of it is you take bulk items, you bring an empty container, and you refill them. Doesn't matter which co-op you go to. I happen to go to the Wedge. Go with a couple containers for different seasonings. Try out something maybe. Let's say you want to go bulk even with shampoo. Buy a little bit of bulk shampoo to see if it works, and then go back the next month or next week, whenever you finish it, so that you know what product or brand you like. And that also sends the messaging to those brands that you like that they are offering bulk. It's very important, because recycling this container, sure, it would be easy, but it's much better to just be able to refill it, right? Now, here's a mistake I made as far as voting with my dollar, essentially, which is really, really important, and that is where it starts. I bought bone broth, all right? And then I realized, well, this is most likely not recyclable. This is what they call Tetra Pak. And if I haven't mentioned before, I'm a master recycler and composter for Hennepin County, and have been so for a little over 10 years. That certification program helped me to learn the different terms the recycling industry uses, a lot of the ugly truths about what really gets done and doesn't get done with our trash, and what we really need to do, and what impact we're really having. I had gotten interested in the whole topic because I had seen at the University of Minnesota in the 90s a picture of a landfill, and realized that none of the items in the landfill belonged in the landfill. They were all recyclable, and that just made me so mad. Back to this. Tetra Pak packaging, last time I checked, is really not easy to recycle. It is multiple layers of packaging. It would have been smarter for me to buy a metal can, whatever brand, but something that came in a metal can, something that I know has a market, a recycling market, okay? I will be writing to the company, and I tried to cover up the name of the company because it's not about who is doing this not so good packaging, but the fact that I bought it. When it says it's organic, great, but you're trading one for another. You're trading a lack of pesticides for the fact that this is probably going to end up in the trash and in the landfill, because it probably isn't recyclable. Not a wise move on my part. But I will contact the company and ask them, is it possible if you would make it in such a way that it's renewable resources? The other thing is to reuse what you do have. Like if you are not ready to part with plastic bags, and I'm still trying to find better ways to store certain things other than hard plastic or glass. Glass is even better. Reuse these, wash them. Sometimes they can be put in the dishwasher, but it just takes a little soap and water. And then I have this bamboo holder. You just drip dry on it. There's many ways to do it, but this is what I do. Just put it there to dry it out. Not a big deal, but it saves some dough and it saves some plastic, okay? If you have plastic bags, you can give those to the Goodwill in a big clump because they need them for their customers. You can also reuse, for example, a medicine container and put change in it. Now, reusing items is not a new thing. I realize that. Go on Pinterest or other creative resource to find out other ways to reuse your items. I am not as creative as I'd love to be in that regard. I just think if you're going to buy something, then look at the container and see if there's another way to use it, because then you're actually getting two in one. Not just the food or product that it's holding, but the container itself. However, don't turn into a hoarder. Can you imagine a closet full of containers just because, well, someday I'll need to use it? The other thing is to buy recycled. I went to the Green Gifts Fair a couple of years ago. I love that. The Green Gifts Fair is full of vendors, artisans who make products out of recycled goods. And I bought myself a, credit card holder It's well used and I gotta sew it up, which brings me to the next thing. In addition to so-called closing the loop of reduce, reuse, recycle by buying recycled, you can go to what is called the Fix-It Clinic. I believe by now every state has it, for sure. Well, Minnesota does. Fix-It Clinic is where all sorts of handy people volunteer to fix citizens' items. For example, I brought in a bike one year and they fixed the gears on it. Fabulous. It's not like anyone would throw their bike away because it's not working. Some would. But either way, save yourself some money and fix what you have, or bring it into a Fix-It Clinic. Just look up your county and look up Fix-It Clinic and see what you can find. And the cool thing is, at the end of the time, once you have brought it in, they will weigh it to see how much junk has so-called, what would have been junk that would have been diverted from the landfill. Get it? So it's really cool. They say that you saved a certain amount of pounds. And then that's good for their program, which helps them to keep the Fix-It Clinic going. What was the other thing? So just educate yourself on the terms that the different companies use, like with whether it's organic or post-consumer, and what's important to you. So when you're shopping, you are voting with your dollar. Post-consumer, for example, means that the materials used to make that product went through the recycling cycle and the company bought recycled materials to use in their packaging. Pre-consumer means they used factory scraps to make it. So which is good, they didn't throw it out, but it's even better to buy post-consumer recycled materials. So if you see a cereal box that says made of at least 20% post-consumer recycled materials, say, way to go, that's excellent. Just make sure that what you buy isn't made of several types of material, because the more types of materials that are used makes it less and less recyclable. So if this had, like a lot of makeup containers have, they have maybe a tin top, they've got a plastic casing, then they've got some other ring in it, foam. You blend all those together, it's a recycling nightmare. Now, what if your family wants to reduce waste and you have no clue how to, because, well, it's just a pain in the butt to do the whole process and you'd rather just chuck the trash and forget about it? There are grants to help you with that. Contact your county and ask if you can apply for the grant. I looked all over in my email to find this program name. Of course, I couldn't find it. Blame ADHD, blame nothing, I don't know. But there are grants for that. I know Hennepin County does. So they have somebody work with your family to figure out how to reduce, for example, electric costs, garbage costs. They might show you how to compost at home. That's what my husband Norm and I do. If we can compost, do vermicomposting, as in worm composting in a 750 square foot condo, anybody can. And I am not the most precise person, but I can still do it. Let me see if I can show you any of that, because we've been outside enough and I have two other things to show you. So remember, we're talking about reducing waste and reducing cost by educating yourself about what it is you're buying and how to send the message to companies that you want changes. Just a moment. And one other thing I remembered, I decided not to bring the product with me, but for example, tampon companies, or just companies in general that mention that they don't use pesticides. Well, if they say it's organic, they don't use synthetic pesticides. Well, what do you use, regular pesticides, or what's the deal? So I reached out to the company that I saw that did that. I said, well, everything else about your company sounds great, but what's with the synthetic pesticides? And I love that your box is recyclable, but how about recycled? That would be even better. And we don't need a plastic applicator. Ditch it. That'd be even more eco-friendly. And what's with the wax on the tampon? Who needs wax? I don't want wax in my body. So you just email them and give suggestions and say, hey, I would otherwise be interested. Get it? Parents need to be really cautious about the buying organic and whether the container can be even recycled, because I see a lot of that happening, that it's organic, but the packaging is never going to be accepted. All right, now as far as products that can be reused. Here's another fun one. We have a birthday banner. Think of ways that you can reuse that. Not only use the next year, or even you could cut the different letters and make signage out of that. You can make wrapping paper out of it. You get the idea. But comment below, what are your favorite either social media sites or websites for getting ideas for how to reuse things so that they don't end up in the landfill. And then let me see if I can wake up my worms. Well, I think actually they are hiding, but they were here and they produced all this beautiful compost, which we are going to use to make a veggie garden in Lauderdale with my husband's sister. Ooh, I think I see, don't I? I'm blinded by this flash, I can't tell. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. Ah. Well, this is all incredible compost, and they were eating eggshells. So, suffice it to say, we did a great job with our compost. I'm very proud of us. If we can do it, you can do it. And I will put a composting book in the description below so that you know how you can do it. Imagine not having to race downstairs in the middle of the winter to get rid of your garbage because you have less garbage because the worms ate it. It's fabulous. Oh my God. So anyhow, thanks. Tune in next time, please. Happy Earth Day. Happy reducing your waste day. Happy increasing your income day. And tune in next time, okay? Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.